The first time I saw the alien queen, she wasn't smiling. She didn't need to. Her compound eyes glimmered like shards of violet crystal, and her 6 limbs moved with a grace that made me question everything I thought I knew about life. She had fired every nanny that had ever touched her child. Everyone. And somehow, impossibly, she had chosen me. I was a maintenance engineer on the Ardent station, a drab, rotating cylinder that hung over the dark side of Korath Prime. Humans weren't supposed to be important here. We were expendable, curious anomalies, tools at best. But the moment she handed me her infant daughter, I understood that logic didn't rule everything in this universe. Some choices were made for reasons even the cosmos couldn't explain. The child was smaller than my hand, her skin a translucent opal with veins of shimmering gold. She opened her eyes and looked at me, and I felt my heart cave in. I am yours now, the look seemed to say. But what did I know about raising an alien? About surviving the subtle venom of court politics and the sharp teeth of interstellar expectations? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I took her from the cradle chamber, ignoring the whispers of the alien guards. Every few steps, I felt their judgment, as if they could see every flaw I might commit in raising a child of a species that didn't even dream in the same wavelength of thought as I did. But that was only the beginning. Nights on Ardent Station were long. The light cycles mimicked a planetary day, but they were a lie. I rocked her in the empty corridors, listening to the hum of the station's core. The child's cry was not like a human infant's. It was a resonant vibration that could tangle the nerves, yet strangely, it was musical. I whispered stories of Earth, of oceans and mountains, of the sun that rose over human cities. She listened. Sometimes I thought she even understood. But what did she think of me? It wasn't just the queen's gaze I feared. It was the curiosity of her counsel. Every decision I made, every lullaby I hummed was analyzed. Why did a human know how to soothe her child better than the most sophisticated alien algorithms? Was it instinct? Emotion? Or something the universe had never permitted humans to realize before? None of us were prepared for the truth. By the 4th week, I noticed her first skill. The infant could manipulate light. Not the soft glow of a lamp, but raw photons, bending them with her mind. A simple blink, a flicker, and the walls shimmered like heat on a desert road. I gasped the first time it happened. That's not supposed to be possible, I whispered to the empty hall. She turned her gaze on me, and I understood she was testing me. Would I be frightened? Would I recoil? I held her close and whispered, "It's okay. You're safe here." She blinked again, and a tiny prism floated between us, suspended in midair. I smiled though my hands shook. What I saw next changed everything. Weeks turned into months. I taught her language of a sort, human sounds and simple symbols, blending them with the alien tonalities she could already comprehend. The queen watched silently, her 6 limbs folded in a posture of judgment. Occasionally, she would descend from her throne room and simply stand behind me. No words, no touch. Just presence. Then the council spoke. They had discovered the child's abilities. The whispers became loud, accusing me of corruption, of tempting fate. Humans are fragile. We should not interfere with what is meant to be a predator species progeny. The queen didn't intervene immediately. But her eyes, they held a storm. One night alarms blared. The station shuddered, a warning of incoming meteor fragments. I clutched her to my chest as we navigated the corridors. She giggled, fascinated by the lights and vibrations, unafraid, as if she already knew this chaos was tame. I realized then, the queen's decision was not just about selecting a caretaker. She was choosing someone who could endure, who could understand, who could love without fear. But could I? Could I survive the station's collapse if it came? It was mid-cycle when she first spoke, her voice a sing-song echo in the corridor, vibrating through my bones. "Human," she said, and I froze. "Do you understand what you carry?" "I understand she's your child," I replied, my voice trembling. "And I will do whatever I can to protect her." She tilted her head, 6 eyes glinting. "Do you understand she carries the future of Korath Prime?" That shook me harder than any meteor impact could. My little charge, the infant I had cradled, was the fulcrum of interstellar balance. One mistake, one lapse in judgment, and civilizations could crumble. I had never felt so small, so insignificant, yet so pivotal. But that was only the beginning. By the half-year mark, she could move objects with thought, communicate without sound, even manipulate the station's environmental systems. And with each new skill, the council's distrust grew. They demanded she be placed under observation, under alien oversight, away from my human interference. The Queen said nothing. She waited. Then came the turning point, a revelation so profound I questioned everything I knew about the universe. The infant, my little charge, had begun to dream. And in her dreams I could see visions of other worlds, alien colonies I had never visited, creatures and machines we didn't even have words for. Her mind reached into places no human had been. And somehow she reached for me. The council's fury erupted. The human corrupts her, they shrieked. She must be isolated. The Queen rose then. Her limbs unfolded like wings. Her voice cut through the chamber. No. She will remain with him. The human understands her in ways you never will. I stood frozen, the infant glowing faintly against my chest. The council's anger was like a tidal wave. But the Queen was the storm. She dismissed them one by one, with a subtle shift in her body's energy that sent them retreating. And then she knelt, touching her child's tiny face. Grow. Learn. Become what you must. And this human, he will guide you. That night, in the quiet of the nursery, I held her close. You've survived your first council hearing, I murmured, and she blinked, tiny prisms dancing across the room. And there will be more. But we'll face them together. The years passed. She grew fast, faster than any human could process. Her laughter filled the halls, a sound that made even hardened alien guards pause. She asked questions about morality, about empathy, about humans. I answered honestly, knowing that honesty was the only language she could trust. The Queen visited often, never interfering, always observing. And one day, when my hair had grayed and her limbs had stretched into adolescence, she spoke words that made me ache with pride and fear all at once. You have not merely raised her, she said, 6 eyes glimmering. You have taught her to choose. And in that choice lies the balance of our worlds. I realized then that the universe had not merely handed me a child. It had handed me a responsibility I could never relinquish. Not even to the Queen. Not even to myself. On the day she took her first solo flight to the Outer Rim colonies, I stood at the edge of the docking bay. She hovered radiant, the station's lights reflecting off her growing form. Remember, I whispered. You always have a home here. She turned, her eyes meeting mine. And in that moment I saw everything we had endured, every fear, every sleepless night, every microhook of doubt that had kept me awake. And she smiled, a curve of light and possibility. The Queen appeared then, silent as always. She bowed slightly to me. He was always the one, she said, and for the first time she allowed a small, almost imperceptible gesture of gratitude. I exhaled, the weight of years lifting from my shoulders. My heart still ached, but it was the ache of fulfillment, not fear. The child, the Queen's child, would carry the future. And I had given her the one thing no alien could teach. Human understanding, human love, human choice. As the shuttle disappeared into the stars, I whispered to the empty bay. That's the end, or maybe the beginning. And I knew in that infinite moment of silence that no one else could have done what I had done. No one else could have raised her, guided her, loved her. Humanity, fragile and fleeting, had carved a mark on the cosmos simply by choosing to care. The Queen never fired me. She never needed to. And for the first time I understood what it meant to be indispensable. The station hummed quietly around me, a lullaby of metal and stars. And somewhere out there, her laughter traveled across light years, carrying with it the legacy of a human who dared to raise an alien Queen's child. And that was only the beginning.